Kirsten, you think I can do the no-shave November?
Maybe like the 3 hairs that might grow. That's probably it if you're lucky.
Yikes. What a way to start episode 6 of Lancer Central. She's Kirsten Freeman. My name's TJ Wingert. And Kirsten, I think we have to jump right into it. We have a whole lot of action to cover today. Starting with men's soccer, they did lose in their quarterfinal match to Presbyterian, the reigning Big South tournament champions, by the score of 3-0. But they had a lot go their way, and they did finish 3-4-1 in the regular season when it comes to Big South conference play. And to get into the postseason tournament, they had to have help from the rest of the conference. We'll get to that in one second, but that win against Campbell, you had to get that win before anything else. A big game from Jacob Reimers in net, a career-high 8 saves. Willie Miezon with a goal, and then the man of the match, 2 goals and assists for Marcus Gronley, but also the help from the rest of the conference.
Yeah, there was a whole combination that we needed to move from that 7th spot to the 6th spot, and that was Gardner Webb over UNC Asheville. We had to see High Point over Presbyterian. We saw Radford over USC Upstate, which was most definitely the most important game, and it was just that perfect storm that got us into that postseason tournament.
And of course, all taking place on Halloween, so
yeah.
whatever,
Super spooky.
witches,
So
whatever
spooky.
you want to call it. But that game against Campbell, I mean, we talked about how great that was, but the game against Radford and USC Upstate, that's what really put Longwood in. After they won, Radford beats USC Upstate, and it makes this tiebreaker the Big South has. It's pretty complicated. I won't go too far into it, but Longwood beating USC Upstate by that tiebreaker 11-10.
Yeah.
By the skin on their teeth, they got that 6th spot. So the top 6 teams make the Big South Conference tournament. Longwood, with 19 newcomers, a lot of them being freshmen, to finish 3-4-1 in the regular season, make the tournament, it shows that they're very young, but still showed a lot of promise this season.
Yeah, and after last season, we just have to count the improvement, maybe in different ways than the perfect score. But we saw 3-4-1 with 19 newcomers. They had a tough non-conference schedule. They played UNC Wilmington, UNC Greensboro, nationally ranked NC State, and also Virginia Tech. It's just a whole lot of difficult games, but they won games that were important. Like VMI, we saw last year, it was a hard game to watch that we ended in a draw. We saw, and the game 8.0 too, an important game in our school history. They beat Robert Morris. Just those important games that were a little bit more feasible. They showed promise in there.
Yeah, and then I think the Campbell game is a perfect example that they needed that game and got it done. So with the season coming to a close, we do have some regular season accolades to go around. Josh Hanratty, Willie Miezon, both making the Big South second team, along with Marcus Gronley, Jeremy Jacquet, 2 of those freshmen making the all-freshman team. So again, you see that young talent immediately making an impact.
Yeah, and then our personal superlatives, we got Jacob Reimer, definitely most improved. We saw 18 goals allowed in the first 5 games of the season. From there, he had that shutout against Campbell, arguably the most important game they played all season. So he definitely has to be credited with most improved in the keeper position. Then we pair him with Ryan Fleming, that support from the back line. He's like the unsung hero, kind of. Almost 90 games, or 90 minutes every game. He had the goal versus Gardner Webb, and that, while his position isn't glamorous, did make him an influential player on the field. Yeah,
and he came into that left back position after A.J. Kimmick goes down with a concussion, and it was his spot to take, and then Kimmick, they moved him around to holding midfielder and what have you. I mean, Ryan did an excellent job and moving the ball up from the back line with people in front of him from that left back spot, but also did a great job making sure Reimers or Miguel Bayman, the games he started, never had too much pressure on them in net. But another team that dealt with some adversity there in the quarterfinals, the field hockey team.
Yeah, we saw field hockey lost to Appalachian State in their MAC tournament during that quarterfinal game, 0-2, a little bit earlier than we expected from the preseason number 2.
And I mean, in come conference tournament time, you're the 3 seed and you're hosting the 6 seeds. We want to be critical or anything, but that's one that you're expected to win. And unfortunately, the upset did play against them there, and they did lose that game, but still overall a strong season. You go 9-7, another winning year under head coach Ian Byers. They have a little bit of a tough stretch there in the middle of the season. Kent State, Miami of Ohio games coming to mind. But, you know, a good enough year, and one you can build upon in the future. And a lot of postseason accolades going forward. You'll see some tape of Leona Verstrada, who makes first team All-MAC, and then Katie Wyman, Olivia Wozniak making the second team. I mean, it's just a great showing. You see that core who gets a lot of recognition throughout the year.
Yeah, not only that, but they broke some program records at Longwood. Coach Ian Byers had his 100th win.
Yeah.
We also saw Leonie Verstrati, the 6th in program history for goals and points. She was 3rd in our Division I history.
Sure.
She had 11 goals in 2018, 38 goals in her whole career at Longwood, too.
Yeah, and then also setting an attendance with the game 9.0, an attendance record for the Division I field hockey level. So, again, an impressive statement there from the team, and somebody who definitely needs some recognition now. We talked about the rest of those MAC honors. Luna Lopez, this one's for you. Plays a position there in the midfield that doesn't get a whole lot of glamour. She did have 2 goals and 3 assists, which speaks to how good she is, especially as a freshman. She was the MAC Freshman of the Year. But she has a pivotal role of taking the ball from the back line up to those forward spots. And without her, Verstrada, Wozniak and company don't have as big a year because the ball's not getting into them in space. So Luna Lopez, you may not get all the credit you deserve. You did with this accolade, and I'm giving it to you right now.
Yeah, and maybe we slept on her this year, but we will not do that next year.
Oh, no, she's going to be the talking point. Her, Wyman, and Wozniak next year, that trio, that's exactly what Longwood needs. And a trio of women's soccer players, as we talk about the next sport here. And then also a couple of players leaving. They did also lose in the quarterfinal to USC Upstate off a gut-wrenching loss. A penalty kick from Abby Ellis really sealed the deal there, and it was a 1-0 defeat. But overall, another good year under head coach Todd Dyer. And a lot of those players that had a lot of recognition, we'll get into those Big South Conference honors, again, powered the team to be 6-2-2 going into postseason play.
Yeah, and that quarterfinal game was a really heartbreaking loss for Longwood. We saw we had that weather postponement to Saturday, really terrible weather the day the game was scheduled. We came back, maybe that was some good vibes for us. We saw a really defensive battle, and then that goal, the one goal, was a PK goal, so just a really upsetting game that we couldn't see any more points from there.
But again, that core that pushed them through, you see a lot of awards going around. Sydney Wallace becomes back-to-back Defensive Players of the Year. Again, what a player she has been over her tenure here at Longwood. Kat Miller being another player who got honorable mention this year. Annie Boros playing another position that doesn't give a whole lot of a limelight there, a holding midfielder. But now you'll see some footage of some of those players, those core players that will take over for those seniors that are leaving. And I think they have exactly what it takes. A lot of these players have been playing since their freshman and sophomore year, have a lot of experience under their belt, even though they're going to be juniors, maybe some of them seniors. But they're going to have exactly what it takes to fill those roles and not make this program take a step back. Emily Cupsup being one that immediately comes to mind. The Pottstown, Pennsylvania native. She obviously gets a lot of attention, but Taylor Alvey, I know, is a player we both like.
Yes.
Carrie Reaver is going to be the new center back filling in for Sydney Wallace. You have players like Danielle Toon we both like, going to probably be the new Cheyenne Stretz or something, or maybe even Kat Miller if they move her back to the back line. So a lot of young players going to immediately get a lot of playing time.
So while we lost those 7 seniors this year, I don't think we can say that we're going to be facing a loss next year. We've got seniors Emily Cupsup, Taylor Alvey, and Erica Sieben, which are going to be a force for the next year's season.
You have your leading goal scorer, probably the other center back next to Carrie Reaver and Erica Sieben, and then maybe the new holding midfielder in Taylor Alvey. So again, those three players in mind come to my mind, that is, and you'll see them, I think, maybe be even better next year. But Kirsten, with the end of fall sports, it does bring us to the beginning of our winter sports and basketball in specific. And our very own Kurt Martin had the opportunity to sit down with men's and women's head coaches Griff Aldrich and Rebecca Tillett, respectively. Take it away, Kurt.
Thank you, TJ. Well, it's a definite honor and pleasure to be here with the new head basketball coaches here at Longwood. Head coach Rebecca Tillett for the women and head coach Griff Aldrich for the men. This is both of your first seasons here at Longwood, so how through, again, the preseason practice and everything, how has the transition been so far?
I think the transition's been great for our team. Our women have just really embraced what we've brought to the table, which included some special things in the preseason. We did toughness with the Marine Corps. I know we've talked about that before. And I think they embraced those opportunities to grow together, both mentally and physically, the things that we're asking them to do and be able to do as a unit.
Yeah, I think probably for us the biggest transition is, we've implemented a different style. And so the pace at which we're trying to play is a lot faster than what, we brought in 7 new guys and then we have, 8 returners. And so for the 8 returners, it's much different than what they're accustomed to. And then for the 7 new guys, they don't know what to expect.
That's right. So through all that practice time and learning and growing through the preseason, what have you seen to be the biggest strengths and weaknesses of your team?
I think the biggest strength for our team right now is just their openness to learning, openness to change. I think that's been really important to our progress. I think weaknesses, areas we need to improve, just continue with that connectedness on the floor. When basketball is its most beautiful, people are sharing the ball, people are working as one on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. And we have to continue to work for that every day. That's something that championship teams work towards from the start of the preseason all the way until the last game of the season.
Yeah, I think for us it would definitely be a willingness to adapt to what our staff is asking our players to do from a mental and a physical perspective. But I think our biggest weakness would be consistency, having the ability to maintain our standards day in and day out. And we talk a lot about focus and effort, and we talk about being insanely focused on doing what we do.
So Through your time practicing, it's all culminated to this week, the first week of this season. What do you see in your opponents this week?
Yeah, I think, well, we start with VCU. We're really excited to travel, just up the road, play a talented A-10 team, and get a test of where we are in relationship to other Division I universities in our state. I think our women will be ready to compete. I think it will be a challenge, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we rise to meet that.
Yeah, we have Randolph College tomorrow night, and Randolph is a very well-coached team. They run a lot of actions. Actually, in many ways, they're similar to us in the style that they like to play. They like to push it and get into a lot of ball screen actions and move and share the ball. So it's going to be a great test for us. It'll be the first time in front of the fans, in the real uniforms, and so excited to see how the guys react to that. It'll be a great test.
Well, I really thank you for your time, giving us the time this morning, and good luck to you this season. A new era for both basketball teams here at Longwood, and we're very excited to watch them go out on the courts, and you should go support them too. So thank you. Send it back to you, Teach.
Well, thanks, Kurt. You can catch the men's basketball team in action as they host the Randolph Wildcats on Tuesday, November 6th.
Then we see the women at VCU on Friday, November 9th, and then back home for their home opener Wednesday, November 14th at 11:30 in the morning for Education Day.
That sounds like a lot of fun for Kirsten Freeman and our entire Lancer Central crew. Until episode 7, we're signing off.